welcome to Marvel's Cosmic Invasion. It's a co-op beat 'em up game that's on practically everything. It's not out yet. It says 2025 on the release date, but given we've got like less than 2 months of this year left, this kind of came out of the blue. I've been tracking this for a while, but to actually see the game actually drop, ironically, on Steam of all places, I would have assumed it would have been consoles as first. But I think this is on PS5, PS4, Series X, Series S. I wouldn't be surprised if it was on Xbox One as well, actually. There's 9 characters, 2 players. I think it's co-op, co-op online. I'm not quite sure actually. I would have thought it'd support more than at least 2 players on the same console or even PC, but I can't test that, so your mileage may vary. But I played through this twice as Spider-Man and Wolverine, and then as I think it was She-Hulk and Captain America. Those are the 2 playthroughs I did, and then I did do a third game as I think it was Storm and someone. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this is good. I'm a sucker for beat 'em up games in general, anyway. As I said a while back when I did my Streets of Rage PAL versus NTSC, I love these old games. The 16-bit generation was very much. This is a big genre at that point in time. Obviously, with 32-bit, you jump to a lot of 3D platformers, but 2D scrolling beat 'em ups were very, very popular. 16-bit generation, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo. You know, your Hyperstone Heist on Mega Drive Genesis, Ninja Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo or SNES. And obviously you also had a lot of the, obviously Streets of Rage. The NES had a lot of Turtle games. The one that comes to mind more for me when I play this is, and again, it's one I'd like to get back, but money permitting, I don't know if I ever will. I had a game on Mega Drive Genesis called Captain America and the Avengers. I imagine it goes for quite a bit now, but it wasn't a bad game. I think one of the bosses in it was like Submariner. I don't know a great deal about all the Marvel stuff, but it was good fun. It was a very. I remember being quite a difficult game. It might have been published by Gold. I generally can't remember, but it's a game I had, and unfortunately I sold it. But it was decent, and I wasn't a. This is in the days when Marvel weren't that popular in terms of they had no films out. Well, other than that, really iffy. Was it a Fantastic Four movie from like the early 90s or late 80s? I can't remember what the time period was. But no, I've had a lot of fun with this. Wolverine plays very well. Spider-Man plays quite well as well. He's got a great deal of movement speed, and Wolverine is just pure. He's just an animal in this. He's just, as you can see from the footage, he just claws through things. But it's the hardness isn't. I wouldn't call it difficult. I call it challenging, definitely. So far, it doesn't seem to suffer with the same issues as I picked up Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. I haven't even finished it yet. I've got about 6 levels in, and I've enjoyed it, but I would definitely say it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 type game. I would say this is probably. I'd probably say this is the better of those 2 games. I know it's maybe a slightly unfair comparison because they are same genre, but there are some differences. I was a bit disappointed with the Zord things in Rita's Rewind. I wanted it to be more like the old Mega Drive games where it's like a beat 'em up. But in its defense, it has some creative ways. I just didn't find the Zord battles that interesting, where you're having to just dodge the enemies' projectiles and stuff. And as I said, I'm kind of going off track, but that game tended to suffer, in my opinion, with the hardness. Like the main game, as in fighting through, isn't actually that difficult. But when you got to the bosses, I mean, it could just be I'm not very good at it, but I found that the difficulty would suddenly vary massively. Like one minute you're kicking ass, the next minute you're struggling to deal with the boss. It's got a lift level as well, like Streets of Rage, and it was quite difficult at times. I'm not quite sure if it might just be my playing ability. I really don't know, but that's one thing. The bosses in this they weren't like stupidly hard. They were challenging, as you're about to see. But I did find it to be a bit odd with the way the difficulty varies up and down. There wasn't a great deal of consistency with it, but I mean, again, that could just be me, because I did quite well with these bosses, considering I'm not the world's best gamer by any stretch of the imagination. But I said I've had fun with this. It's definitely something I pick up, but I'd like to see if there's like a physical version of it. It's all digital, I know that, but I have been on a bit more of a physical. I guess I've just been more interested in physical games. I'm not. There's loads I still want to get, like Streets of Rage 4. I'd like to get that physical. Because I'm other than Steam, where I do still buy games digitally, I'm becoming very sort of just not as keen on digital games where they can just take it away if the network goes down, or the Xbox or PSN or goes offline or something. So I mean, there's the option on PC with like GOG, but consoles, there's no options really. And I don't have a problem with digital, I really don't, but it is nice to have something on the shelf, although I will end up regretting saying that when I have to then move all that shite when I move one day. But it's catch-22 either way, however you look at it, I suppose. But I've had fun with this. I'd recommend this. If you like your beat 'em ups, and even those more obscure ones, you know, there's just a lot to like with this. You can tell the developers have put in a lot of sort of creativity with this, and obviously there will be more characters. There'll be DLC characters. I have no idea what characters it will be, but there'll definitely be DLC characters. But I think the characters are all very unique. They've all got a lot of differences, as you can see. Different special abilities, and it's going to be a romp. It's going to be fun. It really is. I probably enjoyed Spider-Man and Wolverine so far from what I've played of it, and there's only like 2 levels, as I've said. She-Hulk's more, she just like pound ground sort of attacks, which is a little bit different. I wonder what the other characters are going to be like. Storm played really well. I did a third playthrough, but I didn't record that. I was just running through it and seeing it. But there's a lot of hazards as well, like in like Streets of Rage and other games. As I said, like Streets of Rage, when I played Streets of Rage 4, that was just easily got to be one of the best, if not the best, sort of fighting game of the modern generation. And there's been quite a lot of good ones. There's a few I've heard of, not even, I think I've played once, like Scott Pilgrim, but versus well. But I tended to find that to be quite, and there's a new one as well, I believe. I tend to find that to be quite slow for some reason. I'm not really sure why. As I said before in other videos, I'm looking forward to Golden Axe. Is it the Ream? There's not a Ream. There's a new one coming out from Sega. Golden Axe. Did they say Golden Axe? Another Streets of Rage? Although Apparently that is in development hell or something, supposedly, which is kind of weird given how good Streets of Rage 4 was. Altered Beast. Altered Beast is one of those games that I really loved at the time, and even in the like mid 90s, it's pretty ropey by today's standards. Well, not even today's standards. It's just it's a game you love, but it ain't really that great, if I'm honest with myself. A lot of people say that about GoldenEye and like Super Mario 64, which I can see where they're coming from on that one, but I refuse to believe that. Mario 64 is awesome, and GoldenEye, yeah, the graphics are janky, they're dated, but the gameplay, the gunplay is so good. But that's just my biased opinion, I guess. So, but no, I had a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of variation of different enemies. I have no idea what Cosmic Invasion is. I think I have heard of it in the comics, but I don't really read comics, so I don't know who does anymore. Is Marvel Comics that popular anymore, since they've had so many hit films over the years and stuff? It's weird when I look at Marvel as an entity, because I was never a big comic reader. I mean, the only comic I read was, and it was one I actually looked for, but they don't make it anymore. Was and I know people with video games follow comics and stuff. The Sonic comic from the 90s, I read that like religiously when I was younger. It's the UK one, not the American one, and it was a very creative comic. I think you can get some copies on eBay, but my nan used to get it for me about 96, 97. It was awesome. It had so many different stories. You had from like Robotnik, or Eggman as he's called now, Knuckles, Sonic, Tails. There was, I don't think Knack the Weasel was a character, I can't remember. There was Super Sonic, who in this was like Super Sonic is like Sonic's like, I guess you call his super ability he can transform into, like in Dragon Ball in some regards, when pushed to a certain limit. But in this comic, they did interesting things like Super Sonic became a separate entity, became a separate person from Sonic, and he's pure evil. It was kind of cool, kind of different, stuff like that, really, you know. But it's a really good comic. I would recommend if you get a chance to read it. There's so many creative enemies. There was a Badnik in it. I can't remember what he's bloody called now. Who Dr. Robotnik created basically to eliminate Sonic before your Shadow and all that nonsense, I guess you could say. But so I've gone off a bit of a tangent. But yeah, it's a really good comic. It's well worth reading. I think you can get copies of it on eBay, but I'd love to be able to get all the whole set, but that's probably impossible given the fact I think it ran from about 1990 to about 2000 something, probably Dreamcast days. But yeah. But on other topics, I mean, I'm biased, but I would call this like an implosion of Xbox's inevitable death. The decisions they make are just getting worse by the day. So we all know they upped the Game Pass prices, and that pissed a lot of people off. And they then jacked up the console prices, or was it before? I can't remember now. It's just been bad news after bad news, because at the end of the day, and I was one in favour of it, and I can see now I was very much wrong about the whole Activision thing. It has just made Xbox just nothing, basically. They're just a dead brand now, which is sad and very disappointing. But they're just corporate. I mean, it's Microsoft. Because of the amount of money they spent on Activision, they want to make that money back very quickly. And if you look at the supposedly lost 300 million in sales because COD was on Game Pass. And so Microsoft is calling for Xbox's blood, basically. And let's be real, Microsoft are not a good company. They really are not a company that you ever want anywhere near gaming. And I like some of the stuff Xbox did. Hell, I even like Microsoft. Certain things like Age of Empires it's just a classic. It's a really good RTS game, probably one of the best out there, probably ever made. But this is a company that doesn't give a toss about gaming at all. Now, you could say the same about Sony and Nintendo, Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo. Definitely, there's that argument to be made. But the I don't know. I don't see it. The market they're going after is PC gaming. Well, no PC gamer in his right mind is going to touch anything to do with Xbox at all. Barring Game Pass, which I think that's the only tier, the PC tier, that hasn't gone up in price. The news that came out yesterday is their new system is going to be their next generation console, which personally I think is absolutely pointless. I think it was Sarah Bond? I can't know if that's her name. She said something about, or she or someone within the Microsoft gaming demographic said, or executive said something about exclusives are dead, and our next system is going to be a premium system. And I was sat there thinking, who in their right, it's going to be premium and very, very expensive. Like, who in their right mind is going to buy that? Your demographic is Xbox. If you're not willing to subsidize and take a loss on the system in price and then make the money back on software, then this is not an industry for you. Now, I understand the industry is changing and evolving, and that may not be the model for much longer, but it's been the model for going on 30 years. But I do think Microsoft are going to be in a rock and a hard place, because nobody in their right mind uses the Microsoft Store for playing games or buying games. They don't touch it. I've never once bought a game on the Microsoft Store ever, and I probably never will, because their store sucks. It's crap. In terms of usability, glitches, God, it's just dreadful. I don't see it. I think all that's going to happen, and I'm just an average gamer, and I'm probably completely off base, but I think what's going to happen is that Microsoft, or it's Microsoft, it's not even Xbox, is it? Will basically, they'll lose their, other than the hardcore, they will lose a lot of their people that have followed them for years and years as Xbox users. They're going to just basically, they'll be the only ones that'll pay $1,000. What is it for the Alloy handheld thing, which is a ludicrous price for a handheld. Steam Deck is the way to go, personally. I think it's just far more sensible. Now, the Alloy X is interesting, but not at $1,000. I think it's like 800-900 quid in the UK. That's still far too much, in my opinion, for a handheld. It's just ludicrous prices. I don't need 4K resolution and performance on a handheld. I really don't care. It's a handheld. 1080p is more than enough for me, and maybe an OLED screen if that's within viability and price and stuff. So I think they'll end up alienating. This will be my second playthrough in a minute. They're going to end up alienating the demographic of gamers that bought into their ecosystem, and there'll be those that will stay, because they'll be, they won't want to move on to other platforms. I can understand that, but you're going to find that they'll end up alienating their core demographic of gamers on Xbox, other than those that stick around for it, and then they're going to try and get into the PC industry. So are we talking a customizable sort of Xbox that you can upgrade like a PC? Because at that point, it's a PC. It's simple as that. I spent $634.99, I think it was, on my and I moved from Nvidia to AMD because the Nvidia cards were just a joke of a price when the RTX 50 series cards came out. They were just the prices were pathetic. And even my AMD card wasn't as what the price it should have been. It is now, ironically. Yeah. But I think they'll end up alienating their audiences, and they'll lose the PC audience to Steam and GOG because no one associates Xbox as with PC gaming at all. It's just not. The only thing I can think of they're any good for is the controllers. Xbox controllers are really good. I always use an Xbox controller to play games, but I don't think that'll be enough to hold them. Hold the demographic that they want. I think you'll find Microsoft will keep trying, but they'll never make any progress because people don't like Microsoft. I don't mind Windows 10. I think it's a reasonably decent operating system. I'm no expert, but I haven't had that many problems. What have they just done? They've dropped support for Windows 10. Now I need to upgrade to 11. I'm sick to death of upgrading Windows. Oh, this is the last Microsoft. I don't care anymore. I'm not upgrading. Simple as that. I will not upgrade until I'm completely forced to. So, I don't know, that's just my little rant on Xbox and how piss poor they are as a company, and how, quite frankly, I hope they get egg on their faces because they need to be taught a lesson of some type. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Sony and Nintendo are any better because they could do exactly the same thing, but I don't know, right now I'm they just irritate me. But that's my rant on X over. I hope they change direction, but I don't think they will. And it isn't. It comes across as hate, but it's not meant to. You know what I mean? I've had fond memories, particularly 360. That was my first proper Xbox ever owned. I dabbled with the original Xbox, but I never owned one. So, but yeah. This is my second playthrough. This was the She-Hulk and Captain America. She-Hulk's a bit on the slower side, but I like her power moves when you enable a sort of. I think you have to build up. I think it's a bar. I can't remember how you do it, but I did enjoy Cap's shield throw because as it flies back, it can catch them for a second hit, and it's really good. Apparently, She-Hulk is not going to be in the was it Doomsday or something? I haven't paid that much attention to Marvel, if I'm honest, just because I don't know, I'm not really interested anymore. I mean, Spider-Man I'll check out because I like Spider-Man as a character, but I don't know, I'm just bored of these big, it's going to be like all these big team-up movies. Not because they're not cool to see, but because they've just been done to death at this point. Marvel, the films really need to take a good 10 years off or something. Go to the woods for a while or something. I don't know, just do something else because people are bored of superhero movies now. Although that's a hypocritical because I probably will check out Spider-Man and probably the next Batman when that comes out. But yeah, as I said, I liked Cap. I liked his shield throw. It's really handy. As I say, as you throw it, it does a hit, and then it flies away, and as it comes back, it does an additional hit. So there's some quite cool mechanics there and stuff, and it can be used to block. As you can see, I'm using it quite effectively at the moment. I used to think Captain America was such a boring character. It's ironic because he's one of the best characters in the MCU. Once you get beyond the whole goody sort of two shoes, I'm this perfect soldier. He's actually a really interesting and quite complex character. Yeah, is it me or is that supposed to be Mary Jane from Spider-Man, or am I just wrong about that? Because it looks like her, but it must be, sure, it's got to be a reference to her. I haven't quite finished Spider-Man 2, not Miles Morales. I'm liking the story. Harry has spoilers, I imagine people have seen and played through the whole game, but the symbiote. So this is obviously going to go wrong quite badly. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, it's been quite good. So I always expected it to be like Eddie Brock, but it's a completely original story. And I know they showed off Wolverine, and that looked quite good as well. So that might be another one to pick up. I've been buying a lot of PS5 games. I've got no PS4 games whatsoever. No, I sold it. I had Horizon Zero Dawn. Most of my all my PS4 library is completely digital. So I have been, as I said before, collecting more sort of physical. I still want to finish my Pokemon collection on DS, but I've had some change of work circumstances of late, so I'm having to sort of just be a bit more sensible, particularly with money. But yeah, I've got quite a few games and stuff. I mean, right now, your best bet is probably PS3 and 360. The prices are starting to shoot up now though, so if you get on it as soon as you can, because it's going to go up and get really expensive. I like the bosses in this, they are challenging. The second one's probably a little bit more challenging than the first one, but obviously the levels progress. I don't know the date, as I said, but it's just say this year, so it's the next year, next 2 months it must be. I believe there is going to be a physical release of this. No idea who it'll be through. Could be limited run, but from my understanding, limited run take forever to actually release their games as well. So, but yeah, but I've had fun with this. It's well worth. I don't even know how much it is. Let's have a quick look and just see.
I gotta change my costume.
Because I didn't realize Spider-Man 2 is actually on PC. Marvel's Cosmic Invasion. I'm just surprised I said it's only on.
Fully charged.
But it's only on. The demo's only dropped on Steam. That's bizarre. Oh, release date is December 1st, 2025. It is Tribute Games, and the publisher is .emo, which I'm sure they did the Wonder Boy game, I think, as well, if I remember correctly. But it doesn't actually say how much it is. Can't be that. No, it doesn't say. Very odd. You don't need a great deal to run this either. Obviously, I can only speak for the PC because that's all I've played it on. But it requires minimum requirements: Windows 64-bit processor, Windows 10. These are ancient, these processors. I had one of these back in 2005, I think. Intel Core Duo E6550 or an Athlon 64X2. Was that one of the first like dual core processors? I'm on a 12 core currently. Nvidia GeForce 320 or a Radeon 6570, so a gig of RAM, 1080p, 30 frames a second, and it's only a gig of storage. But it recommends an Intel iCore 3540 or an AMD Phenom 2X2550. These are processors from about 20 years ago or something, I think. Or am I? Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. 8 gig of RAM. Yeah, you can run this on a potato basically. It's not going to cause you many problems. And as I say, gig of storage, so, but it doesn't say the price. Interesting. Let's just see if it lists a price. It might not. The soundtrack on this is really good as well. The music's quite catchy. It has to be with these type of games. Does it have a price? I can't imagine it's any more than 15, 20 pound. So there's 15 heroes then in the game. No, that's 5 heroes.
Modok must have reached the helicarrier's deck by
So we got 15 heroes, that's not too bad. So it's a beat 'em up fight against the deadly annihilation wave, threatening the galaxy. From New York's depths to the negative zone, the future of the Marvel universe will be fought across the stars. I love these lift levels, they're always a good challenge as well. Good fun. They get really frustrating sometimes as well. Oh, okay. It's more expensive than I thought it was then. So, in fact, that might be a tad too expensive actually. I'm not sure about that. So on Steam it's $29.99 in euros. On Switch it's €29.99. PS4. Was that a pound sign? So it's the same on Steam $29.99, Switch $29, PS4 $29, PS5, Series X $29. I think that's a little bit too expensive actually. Now it's Marvel, but that's a bit expensive. Because I think Streets of Rage was only 20. I can't remember how much was it. Yeah, I don't think it was 30. I think it was about 22 or something like that pound, or maybe a little bit more. But it wasn't. I don't remember if it was 30. I don't think it was. Oh, did I play for it again? Did I? I thought I was playing as. I was playing as Captain America. Oh, did I change characters? Maybe I changed characters on the second playthrough. Venom's pretty cool as well. Cool. The animations is cool as well. But so let's look at the features. So 15 playable characters with local online play and drop-in, drop-out adaptive system co-op. Amazing art direction. Interesting. But I think that'll still do well, but I do think that might be a tad. Oh, you can look. There's 4 players on the screen and the pictures. I'm just looking on the website. Is that Thanos? I think it is. Yeah. Rocket Raccoon as well. Silver Surfer. Is that the Black Panther as a boss battle or something? Or is that? No, it's another character. Black Panther and Ghost Rider. That's no. Is it Rogue? Is that the one that becomes the Phoenix, or am I thinking of I can't remember a bloody name now. In X-Men. And Iron Man as well. Interesting. It doesn't say. It's a little bit expensive though. That's the one thing I'm going to criticise. It is a little bit expensive. But it's a Marvel property, so I can kind of see it. But interesting nonetheless. But I don't. It might still be worth it, but it's more expensive than I was expecting it to be. I do like the animations though. The animations are very, very cool. They look really interesting. There's a lot of, they're very fluid. I've only sort of figured out how to grab characters in the second enemies in the second playthrough. That's a question. The new Spider-Man film, at the end of Which one? Which was the one where Venom was in the film for a short, brief period, and a bit of him got left behind. I wonder if they're going to do that storyline or not. But because there haven't really been a decent live-action Venom as of yet. The Tom Hardy movies are okay, but I don't know. It's just not very. I don't know. I'm a stickler for canon to some degree, and they're not really canon. They're just their own thing. They're entertaining enough for what they are, but I am curious whether they're gonna bring the Venom character into the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, or are they just gonna reboot it again? But yeah, I enjoyed this playing as a character. And this is Taskmaster. Isn't he like? Is he like Captain America's enemy, or one of his protagonists? I'm not really sure. I enjoyed Storm had some interesting abilities as well, and she's basically based on her. Well, she looks like she's based on the cartoon from. Was it 94 or 95? I can't remember now. Everyone knows the cartoon one about the 90s cartoons on Fox. You can spam it, and he can get away with it sometimes if you catch the character off guard. If you like move to the side before he throws an attack and stuff. So I imagine there might be a bit of patching and balancing required there. But generally, yeah, I've had a good time with this. I would definitely recommend this. Try the demo for yourself and see what you think. The question is going to be that price point. I imagine people are going to pay it because it's Marvel and they are still quite popular, and it's a very, very decent game. No real complaints there at all. It's just that price. That's the question mark I'm wondering at the moment. But oh, that's me showing off. Yeah, so Marvel's Cosmic Invasion, interesting. Could be really, really good. Well, it looks really good and it plays really good, but interesting price point.